Hello, and welcome to Azeroth United, the podcast where we talk about World of Warcraft Dragonflight, World of Warcraft Classic, and everything in between. My name is Denethar, and I am your host. Welcome, everyone, to Azeroth United. Thank you so much for joining us today. It has been quite the week, not necessarily in Azeroth, but out of in the IRL. So we'll get into all that in a little bit as we talk about the news. But there's quite the discussion. We've got a lot of news coming up for Season of Discovery. We've got some discussion about what's going on in Dragonflight this week. I think that's pretty much it. And we'll go over the news and we'll talk about all the business side of things and Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft and all of that nonsense. So I hope that I hope that it's not too depressing. But anyway, we do have a lot of exciting news to discuss and to go over. So we'll get right into it. So relax and sit back and enjoy. And as always, if you have any questions or comments about the podcast, or if you have a particular topic that you'd like to hear discussed, please email me at denethar1@gmail.com, or you can leave a voice message by going to speakpipe.com/AzerothUnited. Also, if you enjoy the show, please do consider leaving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. That's the podcast distribution method. So everybody looks to Apple. So if you could do so, we'd be very grateful. I got up to quite a bit in WoW last week. Started playing my Fury Warrior again. I ran the Emergisil raid with her. That was really fun. I did a bunch of keystones. I finally did a 15 on that character, which is a blast. It's really fun. It's not fun playing a Fury Warrior in Mythic Plus because nobody wants to take you. They're like, well, what utility do you bring besides Battle Shout? Like, I hit stuff. But I did run a bunch of keystones. It's a lot of fun. I'm getting close. I think I'm just under 1800 rating. So I should be getting KSM this week, which will be really fun. My Demon Hunter, he ran a few keystones as well. It didn't really do too much there. Kind of popped in to say hi to the Resto Druid and the Rep Paladin, the Blood DK and the Frost Mage. But, I only have so much time, and I really, I can run one keystone on my alts. The alt stable, but that's about it. That's about all we're gonna get out of it. I did pop into Season of Discovery for a little bit, which is fun. Definitely want to try to get my druid leveled up to 25 before Phase 2 comes out, but we'll see. And if not, there's some news there as well. So definitely looking forward to that. That's about it as far as World of Warcraft. I didn't do too much. I did post a YouTube video talking about the layoffs, but we'll get into all that with the news. So let's just get into it.
It's time for the news.
In Blizzard news, this is a big one. Activision, Blizzard, let's say this correctly. Microsoft has laid off 1,900 employees amongst its Microsoft gaming divisions, which include Activision, Blizzard, Xbox, and ZeniMax. Looks like the Blizzard unit got hit pretty hard. All of the customer service reps, the game masters, community managers, all of those positions looks like they were all eliminated, and they will be outsourced to probably another country. If Microsoft follows suit, that's generally what they do. They outsource to another country. You can debate the usefulness of that, or at least the effectiveness of it. I have never found it to be particularly effective. I feel like if I have to contact Microsoft for my IRL job, it's definitely a challenge when I have to go to another country because there's a language barrier. There's I think there's just some cultural differences that make things a lot more difficult. And I feel like, unfortunately, for the people that work for these third-party companies, they don't have the training. They just really don't. They don't have the experience. They don't have the training, and they're following a script, and it sucks. So I've actually had to teach some of these people how to do their jobs when I've had to call Microsoft for support. So yeah, that's unfortunate. So customer service got hit really hard. Looks like the lore and historian team got hit really hard. A bunch of people got let go there. The survival game that has been in the works for 6 years has been canceled, and all of the people that were on that team have been let go. Overwatch 2 got hit pretty hard. I don't know about Diablo. I didn't see too much there. Just across the board. And obviously there's going to be some redundancy firings as well. HR, payroll, IT, things like that. This is it's unfortunate because this is the way business goes in this country. If you are from Europe or somewhere else in the world and you're kind of aghast at the way that Americans treat their employees, this is what we do. That's how we treat people in this country. Work really hard, be loyal, and be rewarded with being laid off. That's what happens. And I hate to sound callous here, but I will say that in this particular circumstance with Microsoft taking over and the whole merger and the top executives leaving and all of the things there, if I was working for Blizzard and this happened, the first thing that I would have done is polish up my resume and start sending it out to recruiters, because there's no way I'm just going to sit there and wait and air quote see what happens. No, you got to be proactive with your career. You don't need to have loyalty to a company. The company doesn't owe you anything. You don't owe the company anything. They are paying you money for your time and your expertise or your ability, and that's it. There's nothing else that needs to be involved in that transaction. There's no loyalty. There's no guilt. There's no, I've been with this company for 15 years. Who cares? Nobody cares. At least not in this country. Maybe in others they do. So among the people who left were Blizzard President Mike Ybarra, who left and posted some rather tone-deaf updates on social media, X, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I've kind of railed on Mike on this podcast before. I think a lot of people were kind of surprised. Oh, he's a gamer. He's running plus 20s. And yeah. But he's also a business executive, and he acts like a business executive. So the things that he said, the way that he responded to the layoffs, it wasn't a good look for him. It wasn't a good look for Blizzard. Yeah, the whole thing is kind of gross. He's going to go travel the world while he collects himself and then prepares to join in on a new opportunity. Well, that's great for you that you can go travel the world, but there's some people who are struggling now because they don't have a job. So thanks, jerk. And then Alan Adham, who was one of the original founders of Blizzard, he was very instrumental in the early part of Blizzard, but he left around the time the World of Warcraft launched, and then he came back in 2016, and he was very gung-ho on the mobile apps and the conversion to, or the transition into mobile gaming, which, whether you like that or not, that's who he was. So you do have him to thank for games like Diablo Immortal and Warcraft Rumble. So if those are your jam, then it's a sad day that Alan Adham is leaving. If you hated the mobile games, and there you go. It's a lot to unpack with all of this. It's tough because there's two sides to it. There's the humanitarian side, and these are real people who have real lives and real families and real needs that these jobs were paying for. Blizzard just did a big push for return to office. So you had people who had moved because they were remote, and they moved somewhere that's cheaper than Irvine, California. And when that happened, Blizzard then told them, oh, you need to move back to local so you can come into the office. So they moved back, and now some of those people have been let go. That's terrible. I feel like you make somebody move back to a location, get a place, go through that whole ordeal, and then fire them. That is just cold-hearted. There is nothing good about that. Now, the layoffs, I feel like that's business. That's part of business. That's how it goes. Every merger that I've ever seen, every time I've seen this sort of thing happen, it involves layoffs. And I'm surprised it didn't happen sooner. I guess they were waiting until after the holidays. But honestly, this is expected. This is what it should be. And, I've told a few people already, you've got your redundancy firings and you've got your team elimination style firings, like the survival game that was canceled. You do also have, and I hate to say it, but sometimes you get into these departments, and I've been part of this process where you have that one person on your team that nobody really likes, or maybe isn't cutting the mustard in terms of output. This is a good time to get rid of them as well. So it sucks for that person, because that's still a person and they still have a family and they still have a life, but that's what happens. The businesses take advantage of this, and they eliminate the people that they don't like, or that are dead weight or whatever. So it's unfortunate. And we don't know all the facts about this, because obviously Blizzard isn't saying, and the people who have been posting on X, Twitter, or Reddit have not really been too forthcoming over details. We're trying to put it together like a puzzle where we don't even know how many pieces there are, but suffice it to say, every team got hit, including the World of Warcraft team. But in terms of the overall damage capacity sustained, I would say the World of Warcraft team probably got off pretty light. So, that's where that is. And like I said, it is unfortunate. It is so sad, but nobody is surprised that this happened. At least nobody who understands the way business works. And the people who are saying, oh, Microsoft is just as bad as everything was before, we thought it was going to. Look, this is how business works. And if you don't like it, then don't pay attention to the business side of it. Just play your video games and be happy that video games exist. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of nonsense that goes on that doesn't look good, and it doesn't smell good, and it doesn't taste good, because it's not good. And that's how it works. In this country, that's how it works. So, unfortunately, that's what we have to deal with. So, there you go. I could rant on this for hours, but I think I'm going to call it there. Oh boy. Yeah, there's a lot of emotion that goes into a topic like layoffs and kind of cleaning up business, but like I said, it had to be done. So, moving on. As I mentioned, President of Blizzard Mike Ybarra has left the company. Microsoft has announced his replacement. It is Johanna Faries. She is the former GM of Call of Duty. She's also a former NFL executive. She's been involved in gaming for quite a while now. We'll see how that goes. It's interesting that after all this time of Blizzard trying to be independent from Activision and fighting Activision interference and all of this, that we now have a Blizzard president who is a former Activision executive. And not former in terms of, many years ago, in terms of, they just moved her over into this role. So no doubt she applied for it. They said, yeah, you're great. Let's hire you on. Hopefully there's not a loyalty to Activision, and this is I'm going to put all my chips in on the Blizzard on the Blizzard plate and push forward. I think that was something that Mike Ybarra looked like he was starting to do, but it's now apparent that Mike Ybarra was really, more than anything, he was just preparing Blizzard for the merger. So probably came in to identify the people who could be let go by Microsoft when the transition happened. So more and more Mike Ybarra just looks like a scumbag in all this. So we'll see how Johanna Faries, how she fares with the transition. Sorry, I couldn't help with the dad joke. I don't really have any issues with her as a executive because I don't know anything about her, but I'm sure we will find out more as time comes. I know Holly Longdale just posted about going over some World of Warcraft things with her, so it should be really interesting to see how this plays out over the next few weeks. So there you go. So I think that's it from the business standpoint. Yeah, like I said, it's that's a lot to really just digest and get into. All right, let's talk about some video games because it's depressing. Let's get into World of Warcraft.
Let's talk about World of Warcraft.
In Dragonflight, we are in Season 3, Week 12. Oh, man. Sorry, I have to make the transition mentally to get into, let's talk about video games. So we're going to collectively agree to just move on and talk about games. So this week's Mythic Plus affixes are Tyrannical, Entangling, and Bursting. So Tyrannical is bosses have 30% more health and deal 15% more damage. Okay, that's fine. Entangling vines periodically appear and slow players. Moving away from the vines will snap the vine and remove the debuff. If players do not remove the vine before the debuff, they are stunned for 3 seconds, blah, blah, blah. This is great. Entangling and Tyrannical as a combination that's not bad. Because you will get entangling during the boss fights, but not very often. And they're pretty easy to deal with. Especially if you have a paladin in your group, they'll Blessing of Freedom one person, they'll get the Blessing of Freedom. That's 2 people already dealt with. So, and then the last one is Bursting. So non-boss enemies explode on death, causing all players to suffer flat damage that scales with keystone level. This effect stacks. I think it stacks up to 4 times. It affects all players, regardless of range. Bursting sucks, but it's manageable. If you have a good healer and you have a good tank and the DPS is aware of bursting and trying not to kill everyone at exactly the same time, it should be pretty easy. Although this is a Tyrannical week, so the trash will die pretty fast. So you do have to be careful of that. But overall, this is a pretty good push week for Tyrannical. If you're trying to get in your KSMs, you're trying to get in your 20s, whatever your goal for the week is. For the Tyrannical week, as far as rating goes, this is definitely a good week for that. I myself will definitely be pushing my Fury Warrior to KSM for this week, so she'll get to 2,000, which will be great. I'll have 2 KSM characters for the first time ever. First time I've ever had 1 KSM character. But that's because I've always played a healer in the past, like a schmuck. I switched to melee, and look at that, I can actually get KSM. I used to think I was really good at healing, and then Dragonflight said, "No, you're not." So it's a good week. So enjoy your Mythic Plus and have fun. The weekly events and holidays. The bonus event this week is Cataclysm Time Walking. Yay! So we'll get the Firelands Raid Time Walking Edition. We'll get the Dungeons, the Stone Core, Lost City of the Tolvir, Vortex Picnical, Throne of the Tides, End Time, and Blackrock Caverns. You'll be able to get a quest, A Shattered Path Through Time, from Khazra in Valdrakken, which is defeat 5 Time Walking Raid bosses or dungeons. And you will be rewarded with a Mirror Seal normal gear. You'll get the buff Sign of the Destroyer, 50% reputation increase for Cataclysm factions, which is cool if you're trying to get rep with those factions. And then if you do the raid, you'll get a quest, I believe in Stormwind and Orgrimmar to kill Ragnaros, and you have to loot an item off of him, and then you'll get a heroic piece of Firelands gear. So it'll be a hero track gear, or a hero track level piece of Firelands gear. So that'd be pretty cool. This is a really great week for alts. You want to get some gear on your alts because one, you'll get a piece of champion gear from doing 5 time walkings. And then if you do 5 time walkings, you'll get a piece of veteran gear in your Great Vault from doing the 4 dungeons. So you'll get 2 options of veteran gear. So if you're not running any Mythic Plus on some of your characters, this is a great way to get them some extra gear. And the dungeons aren't bad. The only one I don't particularly care for is End Time, but it's not that bad. It's manageable at least. So, Cataclysm Time Walking is a lot of fun. These dungeons are good. The ones besides End Time. Blackrock Caverns, great. Throne of the Tides, great. Vortex Picnicle, great. Stonecore, great. Lost City of the 12 Years, good. Not great, but it's good. This is a good week. Actually, I was thinking about Stonecore. I was like, man, that would make a great Mythic Plus. I hope we get that one in The War Within as a Mythic Plus dungeon. That would be awesome. I mean, miserable, but awesome. The PvP brawl this week is Classic Ashran. So, this is Ashran as it appeared back originally in Warlords of Draenor, and it was just a zone, and it was just a lot of fighting, and you had to summon a boss, and this is just miserable. Don't do this unless you want to burn 3 hours of your time. No. This is not the kind of brawl that Blizzard should be doing. It should be the quick in and out, fun, fast paced, not this slog of a. It isn't even a battleground. It's just a battle zone. Ugh. But if you do decide to do it, you can do the quest Something Different, which will reward you with Conquest, Honor, and Marks of Honor. So enjoy that if that's what you choose to spend your time on. There's definitely better ways to PvP than doing Classic Ashran. The Outland Cup is still active this week. I think it will run until January 31st. So make sure you talk to Lord Anderstraz and Valdrakken to get more information. You still have plenty of time to finish all the races. And if you complete all races, that's regular, advanced, and reverse on gold, you'll get the Outland Racer title and the Ruby Riders of Azeroth tabard. You can also spend the currency that you get for the Drake Racer set, which is really cool, and the Manuscript of Endless Possibilities toy, which is okay. It gives you a buff that makes your Drake's appearance random for an hour, I guess it is. I don't know. This is poor implementation. Whatever. You got basically today and tomorrow to finish this up. So, better get racing. The Lunar Festival is starting on February 3rd this week. So that's, what day is that? That's Saturday. Starting Saturday. Every year, the Druids of Moonglade hold a celebration of their city's great triumph over an ancient evil. During the Lunar Festival, citizens of Azeroth have the opportunity to honor their elders by celebrating their sage wisdom, sharing in magnificent feats, and of course, shooting lots of fireworks. So this is going to go until the 17th. This is also a great one for alts, especially if you have somebody who's lower level. You can zip around the old world and talk to all the elders, and I think each one gives you a big chunk of XP. There's really nothing new here. It's just the Lunar Festival, as it always has been. Head over to Moonglade and check that out. The Dark Moon Fair is starting on the 4th, which is Sunday, and that's going to go till the 10th. And the fair, it's great. Go ride the merry-go-round or the roller coaster, get your XP and reputation buff. Make sure you do your profession quests to get your knowledge points and your skill points if you haven't maxed your professions. And just go have a good time at the fair. Get shot out of the cannon, go do Dance Dance Revolution, watch a concert, go defeat the Death Metal Knight. It's a lot of fun, especially if you go with some friends. It's just I really like the Dark Moon Fair. It's fun. The the race, the Hornstrider race around the island is really cool. If you haven't done that before, definitely check that out. Or you can do the quest where you fly through the rings. There's just a lot to do there. So if you're not busy and you want something light to do in game, go check out the fair. The Love is in the Air event is starting on February 5th and it's going until the 19th. And I had a whole description for this event and I lost it. So I'm just going to wing it here. But basically, they've revamped this event. So there's going to be, you have to get the heart candies and create a charm bracelet with the heart candies. And then there's a quest line to go stop the Crown Chemical Company and figure out what they're up to. And the big thing for this event is there's a new dragon riding armor for I believe it's the renewed Proto Drake. I would know that if I had my description here in front of me, but I don't. So I believe it's the renewed Proto Drake. Is a Valentine's Day themed armor set for that. And there's some new gear that you can get. There's the new Sailor Moon looking Valentine's Day outfit. So yeah, definitely check that out. That starts on February 5th. That's Monday. So barely at the end of the week, but it is still this week. So we'll talk about this again on the next episode. And I'll give some more details. So hopefully if you really want to do this and you're looking for someone to just read to you some of the information about this, then I'll be happy to oblige you next week. All right. I think that's everything that's going on in WoW for this week. Let's check here. I was looking to see if there's any hot fixes. Oh, that's right. I didn't mention this in the news section, which I should have, but if you are interested in a blast from the past nostalgia, you can now buy the Warcraft II Tides of Darkness and Through the Dark Portal games on the Battle.net store. I believe it's $9.99 for Warcraft 2, and then you can also buy Warcraft Orcs and Humans, which is Warcraft 1. And I think that one's $5.99. I mean, they're old games. They're 90s graphics and play style RTS games. But if you're interested in some of the WoW lore and some of the WoW history, and maybe you play these games when you were in elementary school and on your dad's computer, and you want to check it out again, yeah, go check that out. Yeah. It's just another opportunity for Blizzard to make some cash, but you know what? That's fine. It's their games, and it's within their right to do so. Obviously, they're strapped for cash if they had to lay off so many people. So I'm just saying. So yeah, if you're interested in that, go check that out. But yeah, that's it for the World of Warcraft this week, and let's talk about something new.
Let's talk about something new.
So Blizzard launched a fairly large amount of details for the upcoming Season of Discovery Phase 2. Yeah, they just kind of dumped a bunch of info on us. They give us a blog post and a video, and video is more like a PowerPoint presentation, but still, they give us a lot of info on the upcoming season or Phase 2. I keep wanting to say Season 2, but it's Phase 2. Some things we already knew, and some things that were clarified of what was going to come, and then some brand new updates that we had no idea about. So I'm going to kind of go over the highlights of this, and then probably next week before the launch of Phase 2, I'm going to do a little bit more of a deep dive and talk about some of the talent choices that are going to be relevant in Phase 2, which classes are going to have the biggest advantages and the biggest disadvantages and all that. But for now, we're just going to go through this list of this is a lot of stuff. It's not a lot. No, I take that back. There's a lot of information on there, but ultimately it's not a ton of detail. It's more high level. They give us a lot of teases and a lot of, hey, here's what's gonna happen. Anyway, we'll just go through it. First off, the new raid, which we all know is going to be Gnome Ragon. That will be level 40 raid. It's going to be a 10-player raid, and it's going to be on a 3-day lockout, just like the Black Fathom Deeps raid. It's going to be 6 bosses, which will be interesting because there's only 5 bosses in Gnomeregan, not counting the Dark Iron Ambassador, so rare spawn. So there'll be a new boss, and they did give us a screenshot of the Crowd Pummeler fight, which looks like it's taking place on one of those platforms, and it's going to be surrounded by bleachers with cheering leper gnomes. So we're not exactly sure what that's going to be, but it looks pretty cool and it looks really exciting. So I'm really jazzed about that. The loot in the so first of all, let's get the white elephant out of the room. Yes, there will be a Crowd Pummeler modification. It's going to be the automatic Crowd Pummeler instead of the manual Crowd Pummeler. And it will provide 69 feral attack power, feral guardian, bear druid, dire, whatever, as well as a attack speed bonus on a 3-minute cooldown. So this is huge because that was one of the complaints the feral druids had going into Season of Discovery was please make it so that we don't have to farm the manual Crowd Pummeler 1,000, 4,000, 10,000 times. And you won't, because you'll get it once from Gnomeregan. Now you might have to go try to get it a bunch of times, and that's fine because going to get loot is part of the fun of World of Warcraft. But this is really exciting. There's a couple of other items in there that look like they were really fun. Some trinkets, some good offhands. They're just, they're continuing what they did in Blackfathom Deeps, which was having gear that's good for the game and not just the vanilla gear that we're all used to, that we're trying to make it work in whatever ways that we can. Because that was always one of the biggest problems of vanilla is that you go, well, we know the game, we know how everything works, and there's these 9 pieces of gear that are really good, and the rest of them are all shite. So this is really good. It's really exciting. There's going to be some extra items. So one thing that they had was the Trog Transfigurator 3000, which is you can turn yourself into a Trog, which is kind of cool. There's the domesticated attack chicken. So release your domesticated attack chicken that will fight for you for 1.5 minutes or until defeated on a 30-minute cooldown. So that's pretty cool. There's going to be a leather gloves called Bonk Maestro's hand guards, which increased fist weapons and maces by +5. So it's like the new Edge-Masters, but for maces and fist weapons. So that's huge. We also got the this tank trinket, which is Wordall's Hardened Core, 7 stamina, 5 arcane resistance, 5 nature resistance, 1% chance to dodge, and a on use for 1,000 armor and reduced movement speed by 60% for 10 seconds. You cannot remove the effect, and it's on a 30-minute cooldown. So it looks like this is a big like a last stand type cooldown, but don't try and run out of stuff because you won't be able to move. But even without the on use, it's still a great trinket. 7 stamina, 1% dodge. I like it. So really fun, really exciting. The loot in Gnomeregan. I'm really curious to see what they do with the bosses in there, though, because they've already mentioned that there's going to be some changes. Thermoplug's got new suits that he's going to put on. Grubbus, the radiation vents are going to come into play. So it's going to be like Blackfathom Deeps. They're going to really mix it up. And honestly, I think that's great because BFD was by all accounts was a huge success. People loved it, and I'm really excited about this one. I've always loved Gnomeregan. I know everybody hates it because I get lost in there. Yeah, you do. but it'll be fun. This is gonna be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to this. So I'm definitely gonna try and get to level 40 as soon as I can. It'll be a lot of fun. Next up is the dungeon updates. Okay. So wait, one more thing before I move on. They did say that the set items, the 3-piece set items in Gnomeregan, they're going to drop a token. So you can, if it's a boot token or it's a belt token or whatever, then you can turn that into the appropriate armor for your class. So I think actually you would probably take it to a vendor and exchange it there. So, yeah, that's really cool because then you don't have, oh man, more mail. Great. There's, it's Alliance and there's no hunters, or there's one hunter and they've already got the gear or whatever. So yeah, that's really cool. All right. So we're going to add some spell books to dungeons to, kind of flesh out some of the abilities. It's, they're trying to add more things that are not on the rune system, which I think is good. Ultimately, I think that's probably for the best. But it's, I don't know. I'm worried about things getting too bloated. So, I guess we'll see. But it looks like, let's see if I can find this here. All right, so the examples they gave us were Testament of Enhanced Blessings for Paladins, Revelation of Totemic Projection for Shaman, and Manual of Redirect for Rogues. So not really giving us a lot of detail on them, but yeah, it's we'll see how that goes. Maybe this will be good. I worry about characters becoming so overpowered that the game turns into retail, or modern WoW, I should say, because that's one of the joys of Classic is that everything is so simplistic. And while it's fun to be a little bit more powerful with our enhanced rune abilities, I don't want the player character to become so powerful that, yeah, I don't like the complicated rotations in modern WoW. I don't like some of those things. Some classes are fine, but some classes just really irritate me. Speaking of which, let's talk about these rune ability updates, because I'll tell you right now, right off the bat, this pissed me off so much because I love playing a druid. I really do. And this is one of the most hated things about playing a druid for me. So they gave us a sneak peek at some of the runes that we'll be able to discover as we level up to 40. So they give us 2 per class, except for the shaman, which they gave us 3. But this is just a sample of what we're going to get. So for druids, we got King of the Jungle and Eclipse. And the way they describe Eclipse is a player favorite ability from future expansions that we've brought back for Season of Discovery. Whose favorite ability is Eclipse? Eclipse freaking blows. It is awful. It's the worst mechanic that I've ever known in the game. Maybe I'm the only one that feels that way. I don't know. But I hate Eclipse. It's what made me stop playing a balanced druid, because Eclipse is so annoying and bad. And this is not the worst version of Eclipse, granted. So this would be Starfire increases the critical strike chance of your next 2 Wraths by 30%, and Wrath increases the critical strike chance of your next Starfire by 30%. Okay, that's fine. I'm just, yeah. King of the Jungle, which is for Tiger's Fury. Yeah, it's, there's some really cool things there. Paladin runes. So we got Sheath of Lights, which dealing damage with your melee weapon increases your spell power by an amount equal to 30% of your attack power for 1 minute. In addition, your critical healing spells heal the target for 60% of the healed amount over 12 seconds. Right. So basically, this is melee paladin healing. So, I mean, I guess that's fine. Again, I don't really love that mechanic in Modern WoW, but that's fine. And this is what I was afraid of. I was afraid that we would get to a certain point where they would just start putting Modern WoW mechanics into Season of Discovery, and it wouldn't be enjoyable anymore. But I'm still excited. We've got Guarded by the Lights. Each time you hit a target with your melee weapon, you gain 5% of your maximum mana, but your healing spells do last. And this is great for tanks, because they shouldn't be doing too many healing spells, but they need a lot of mana for their attack spells, and for Rep Paladin too, honestly. So this is it. That's a good one. I like that. Hunter runes. So we got melee specialists. Raptor Strike cooldown reduced to 3 seconds and has a 30% chance to not trigger its cooldown. Cool. Trap launcher. I mean, we know what trap launcher is. You can launch your traps anywhere to freeze somebody on the other side of the room or whatever. That's pretty cool. So yeah, there's that. Let's see, warrior runes. So we got Rallying Cry, which it increases the party and raid members' health by 15%. That's really cool. Blood Surge, which this is just more modern WoW mechanics. Heroic Strike, Bloodthirst, and Whirlwind have a 30% chance to make your next slam within 15 seconds, cost no rage. It's, it's more of the same. Rogues get Shuriken Toss, so throw a Shuriken at your enemy, dealing damage to your target and up to 4 additional nearby. So it's a good cleave. Master of Subtlety, attacks made while stealth and for 6 seconds after breaking stealth cause an additional 10% damage. Again, more of modern WoW into Season of Discovery. Priests, Mind Spike, more modern WoW, and then Pain Suppression again. Although Pain Suppression's fine, I like having that. I think that's a good one. Warlocks, Invocation, so you can refresh your spells, and then it gives you an additional time on that, so you're not being penalized for refreshing your dots too early. And Dance of the Wicked, so your pet gets dodge. It basically enhances your pet dodge, and you get more mana back. Mages get Missile Barrage, so your Arcane Blast has a 40% chance, and your Fireball and Frostbolt have a 20% chance to reduce the channel duration of your next Arcane Missile spell by 50%. Reduce mana cost by 100%. Missiles will fire every 0.5 seconds. Again, more modern WoW. Chronostatic Preservation fuses Arcane Fire and Frost Magic to freeze chromatic energy into a stored state for later use. You can hold this energy up to 15 seconds before it combusts and expires. This is interesting because it's a little bit of what other classes have in Modern WoW, but applied to the mage. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how this one works out. Yeah, it's like you build up a charge and then you hold it until you need it, and then there you go. I like this one. This is pretty good. Let's see. Okay, so Shaman, you get Maelstrom Weapon, which again, I hate Maelstrom Weapon. I can't believe that that's in, but I don't play Horde, so I don't have to deal with that. Spirit of the Alpha, which is like a reverse salvation, and basically gives the tank more threat, which is really cool. And Shaman will get two-handed weapon mastery, so that'll be awesome. So they'll get say each time you strike an enemy with two-handed weapon, you gain 30% attack speed with two-handed weapons for 10 seconds. So basically, as long as you're hitting them with the big old mace or axe or whatever, you're going to hit faster, which is fantastic. So good for Shaman. Yeah. So again, these are, first of all, this is just a taste of what we're going to get in Phase 2. And then also, we could still see these being adjusted slightly, especially once the phase goes live and they realize, oh, this one's not working as the way we wanted it to, or it's not working the way we thought. We might still see some changes, but for the most part, this is what we're going to get. I should have mentioned that all of these runes are either on belt or boot slots, which is cool. Because in Phase 1, they were all chest, legs, and gloves. So we are getting more rune slots, so we'll be able to have 5 rune abilities, which will be really fun. Okay, next up is the PvP. Oh boy, here we go. So, Stranglethorn Vale is the location of the new PvP World event. It's called the Blood Moon. It's going to take place every 3 hours, automatically. None of this triggered nonsense from Ashen Vale. And the sky will turn red. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's going to last for 30 minutes. And then during the event, all players will be attackable. So your buddy that you're in group with, yeah, you can kill them in the PvP event, which I think is fantastic. You show up in your group and then you just start killing each other. It's going to be awesome. You can talk to the Zandalari emissary and turn off the events, but then you won't get any rewards while you're in the zone. But if you just want to level or whatever, you'll be fine to go turn that off. Yeah, and then it looks like there's a guy that's going to be roaming around called the Chosen of the Bloodloa, who's they described him as kind of like a Fell Reaver in the zone. So if he comes up on you, he's just going to knock you out, just dead. So that's kind of interesting. It sounds like this will be quite the deal. I mean, Stranglethorn Vale is already a disaster on PvP servers. This is going to make it just like crank it up to 11. So that'll be really fun. Some of the rewards that they did tease are they get a ring, which is 9 at 6 dam, 16 fire damage for mages, and then a one-handed mace, which is 10 strength, 6 agility. So that's pretty cool. Not super exciting, but nice. And then it looks like unique equipped, you can only equip one of these Blood Moon items at a time. So yeah, I guess that they don't want you gearing up with that stuff. It's just, get one thing. Yeah, so and then there's going to be 2 new mounts, which is actually really interesting. So there are 2 unique mounts. It looks like a cat and a raptor. And they'll be level 40 mounts, so they'll be real mounts, and you'll be able to ride them anywhere. Yeah, so it's really cool. And then there's going to be a new quest which will help you earn Arathi Basin reputation. So yeah, this event sounds really good. One of the things that's really interesting is that they're going to change the Ashenvale event to be 3-hour automatic timer as well. It'll continue going, but it will switch to just an automatic timer, and they're going to offset by an hour. So the example they gave was if Stranglethorn Vale starts at 12, Ashenvale will start at 1, which is really interesting because the next Stranglethorn Vale will start at 3, which means that you've got a 2 o'clock slot in there for something else. We'll see what that is in phase 3, I guess. So now they did give an update on matchmaking for PvP. And basically what it boils down to is they really want you to go in groups. It's really what it boils down to. They really want you to go in groups. They're going to try to set the matchmaking so that it separates people from groups, big groups, 5 or more, or 6 or more, or 5 or fewer, and then solo players. So yeah. The idea is that it'll try to match you with people of appropriate group sizes, but if it can't, then it'll switch and just ignore the rules and just match you with whoever's next up. So you might get in against a pre-made, but you will likely not get in against a pre-made if you are not in a pre-made. So yeah, we'll see. But ultimately, they did say that they did want you to get in. They feel like it's best to do PvP like this in a group. So, hey, Blizzard said it. You got to get in a pre-made. So better find that PvP Discord for your server and get in your pre-mades and enjoy. All right. I think that's it for the PvP. I PvP'd back in vanilla. I PvP'd all throughout WoW, basically through Legion. I even did a little bit in Shadowlands of Arena, but I can't do PvP anymore. I don't enjoy it. It's not fun. And so yeah, this doesn't really throw me a whole bunch, but I know a lot of people really love vanilla WoW PvP, so you know what? This is going to be really fun for them. So I hope they enjoy this. Profession update. So basically what it boils down to is they're going to add another epic quest line for professions. They're going to cap professions at 225, which is what everyone expected them to do. They will not have profession specializations. Those will open up with phase 3 a few months from now, and they're going to have more specializations for different professions instead of just like engineering and blacksmithing and whatnot. So that'll be really cool. They're going to try to flesh out the specialization system, which I think is really nice. They're going to add world buff items to alchemy and enchanting. So you can you create an item that's just for you that gives you a little buff, and that buff lasts for 30 minutes. You can just keep putting it on. So it's pretty cool. And then there's a alchemy recipe that you can make that restores mana, and I mean there's just gonna be some really cool things that are gonna happen. There's gonna be new mats that you're gonna have to figure out how to farm, which they're not telling us how that's gonna work. And like I said, there's the new epic quest line. And again, they're not telling us how that's gonna work, so we'll have to see. But I'm very much looking forward to that. I think it should be really exciting. I'm hoping that, that they take a little bit from modern WoW, and then continue to hold on to the kind of the feeling of classic, which, I mean, that's what they've been doing so far, and I just hope they continue on that, because this has been great. I don't want them to go to a retail like profession system or modern WoW profession system. That would be terrible for classic. But I do think that the professions could use more fleshing out. So I think this is good. This is really fun. And then, so when we get to level 50 in phase 3, we'll be able to go to 300. So this will be fun. Okay. They did touch on bots and bans and ban waves and all that. And they did say they have some new tech that they're testing out in Classic era and in Modern WoW for dealing with bots. And it seems to be working really well for them. So they're going to implement that in Season of Discovery. They did say that it's really tough for them to talk about how they're dealing with bots, because as soon as they do, then the bot developers are going to figure out how to work through whatever safeguards Blizzard has put in place, and that's generally how that works. You got to keep trying, and they did say that one of the best ways of detecting bots is through community feedback. So whether or not you feel like it's being used or helpful to report a bot, it is being helpful to the developers for them to be able to find and prevent bots. But they did acknowledge the frustration of doing big ban waves and then seeing thousands of new bots come on the next day with new accounts being created. So it is frustrating, but I guess that's how it goes. So in line with that, they have stated that they will be banning GDKP in Season of Discovery. So they did point out the correlation between GDKPs and gold buying, which links to more bots. So the people who have been running GDKPs all this time in Season of Discovery and who are planning to do so again in Normagon will be no more. They didn't go into detail about how that's going to look, but no more GDKPs, which is fantastic. I've really been kind of anti-GDKP from the beginning. I've always thought it's a terrible way of distributing loot, because it's really who can pull out their credit card faster. And you can say what you want. Oh, I never bought gold and I did GDKPs and I made thousands. That's fine for you. But I guarantee you that gold was bought. Somebody in that raid who bought, an item for 15,000 gold. They didn't go farm that. Are you crazy? They bought that. They bought that with their credit card. It's a 37-year-old guy, and he's desperate for loot in a video game that's based on a 20-year-old game, and so he bought gold. Congratulations, you're a hero for buying gold. Way to go! But yeah, now it's banned, so you can't do that anymore. So so sorry. It's a shame, but I think it's for the best. And when I say it's a shame, I mean that in the most sarcastic way possible. It's for the best, I think, for the game. And we'll see how it plays out. And we'll find out what new degenerative behavior players will come up with to distribute loot, rather than just saying, oh, let me just roll on it. No, we can't have that. No, we've got to have some sort of deterministic system. So anyway... let's see. And the last piece is the XP buff. So there'll be an XP buff of 50% going from 1 to 25 in phase 2. And then players will be able to gain increased XP in Black Fathom Deeps. So that'll be really cool. That way, if you've done all the quests because you wanted gold, and then you're like, oh shoot, how am I going to get to 40? You can run the raid. You can run dungeons. There will be ways to go. So there's a lot. Like I said, I'm just hitting a high level here. We're not doing a deep dive today. This is a lot of information, and it's going to take some time to go through it all and really think about the implications of what it all means. Personally, I think that Blizzard has been really just hitting the nail on the head with the amount of information they've given us for Season of Discovery in terms of, oh, okay, well, here's some details, here's some information. They're not giving us everything. They're not saying, here's all the data mining. Or they're not saying, oh, you get nothing. It's all a secret. No, they're giving us just the right amount to keep everybody excited and interested, but not ruining the sense of discovery and the joy of going, oh my gosh, check out this cool new thing I found, which I think is great. So I'm really happy that Season of Discovery is continuing on. I wish I was playing it more. Honestly, if I can get my Fury Warrior to 2,000 rating this week, I might just kind of shelve my Dragonflight characters for a couple weeks and go do some Season of Discovery. So we'll see. Yeah, it's really exciting. So I'm really hoping that this is a long-term project for Blizzard, and this is something that just kind of keeps on carrying on. I wouldn't be surprised if this was not the new classic era, but if they just said, hey, the Season of Discovery is just what we're going to do going forward. Oh man, that would be so cool. Anyway, we'll talk about that more next week. That's our show for this week, though. Thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. I'm sorry some of my rants and rambles went on a little long this week, but I do try to keep it short. It's just I have a lot to say. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to ask me any questions, or you'd like to hear a particular topic on the show, or have something for me to discuss that you'd like to bring up, you can email me at denethar1@gmail.com. You can also catch me streaming occasionally on Twitch TV, which is at Denethar01, or on YouTube, which is also at Denethar01. You can also contact me on Twitter. I'm at Denethar. And yeah, that's it for that. So I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I really do. And remember to be good to each other out there. There's a lot of people that are struggling right now, and they could definitely use some help. So be good to each other. Make sure you smile, and I'll see you in Azeroth.